Hey, folks, thanks for joining us. Another round of the Heart of CX. I'm Max Ball here, excited to talk to you all, and most excited to talk to you, Joanna. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well, Max. How about you?
I'm doing fine. It's supposed to rain later today, but it's sunny and nice right now. So, what more could I ask for?
Well, that's
Um,
great.
yeah. Hey, Joanna, I wanted to talk to you about something kind of basic. I hear a lot of people talk about customer experience and then the contact center. And if you force me, I could give you a definition of why they're different. And I think they're very different, but they really mush in my head. And I'd be willing to bet I'm not the only one who kind of struggles to differentiate them. And I thought it would be interesting because I think you'll have a good perspective on this, just kind of talk about them. What's the difference between the two? And I think they're pretty interwoven. So maybe some on how they interact.
Yeah, I love this topic. And this is a great question, Max, because I do think it gets confusing and confused at times. And so let's just break this down just as basic as we can get. Customer experience is that entire experience of your customer life cycle. And so if you think of it that way, if you think about the beginning of when you start interacting with a potential prospect all the way through
Mm,
the entire time that they're doing business with you. I think that you can break it down and get some clarity here. Customer service, contact center is part of the whole experience, and there's a lot there that we can talk about in terms of how we can leverage the contact center and the rich data in the contact center to positively impact other
mm.
areas of customer experience.
Yeah, that's a good point. And there's based on the function of the contact center, there's different roles in the customer experience. If it's an outbound sales, that's a whole different flavor than tech support or something
Right.
like that.
Right, absolutely, and that could be part of your contact center. And definitely your inside sales group is going to have different goals than, let's say, your customer
Yes.
service organization, different ways that they interact with those customers. Your sales organization primarily will be outbound, whereas your customer service organization will predominantly be inbound. But you can start thinking of areas that you see friction in all parts of the experience. And then how can
Hmm.
you eliminate that friction so that you can eliminate the number of contacts coming into your customer service organization? But more importantly than that, you're going to increase customer satisfaction, increase customer loyalty, which is going to increase customer lifetime value ultimately and drive
No,
a better bottom line.
I actually I have a story about I have a friction story.
Oh,
Um,
oh,
I I was doing I was we were helping one of our kids with a big financial transaction, and I needed to actually do a wire transfer of money. And that's something. It was maybe the first time in my life I've done it, or two or three times, something like that. And so I went to the website of the financial institution and found wire transfer and found the form and started filling in the form and got, this and that and these and those. And here's my social security number and all this stuff on the form. And then I got to the point where I was transferring to the account, and it would only let me do an account in my name, which kind of defeats the purpose of a wire transfer, but
right.
whatever. So, and then I tried a different way. I filled out a different form, and at least an hour, probably more, just on the website. Don Quixote, I got my thing, and I'm going at the windmill, and nothing's working. Um, so finally, I just okay. So I called. I had to get help. Now, the contact center experience was amazing. It was Sunday afternoon. I called. I got a phenomenally knowledgeable person.
Mhm.
They helped me, walked me through exactly what I needed to do. And in fact, they took one of my partial attempts that I did, and they were able to get access to that, and they finished filling in the forms, and they talked to the supervisor. How you get a supervisor available on a Sunday, I don't know.
Right?
They talked to a supervisor to get permission to do the form for me, or whatever. There was something they had to do for that, and did it, and boom, got it all out, solved the problem, everything I needed, very clean. Could not have asked for a better contact center experience.
Mhm.
But why? The customer experience I had was really bad. The fact that I had a great contact center experience is pretty cold comfort at that point.
Right, right. And I think that that's generally the case when you call into customer service. More often than not, it has to do with an upstream issue that more likely than shouldn't have been there, right? Whether it's
Right,
an
right,
issue online, an issue with not being able to um, give you the information you need and readily available FAQs. And so each one of those contacts into the customer service organization need to be bucketized in terms of what is the theme of these contacts and how do we remove those areas of friction upstream. And in your case, that process overall, how can that be automated so you don't have to ask for help?
right, right.
And there's a lot of statistics out there that show that customers these days prefer self-service to any other channel in the contact center. And I think that that's important to highlight. And that
Yeah,
doesn't
and
necessarily.
that resonates with this experience. I mean, I spent an hour because I didn't want to. I'd like, I'll do this. I don't want another okay boomer moment. I want this to just work. Dang it.
I hear you. And it's that contacting customer service these days is admission to defeat of the overall experience,
Yes.
right?
Yes. It kind of reminds me of the experience you talked about a little while ago with your travel in Australia, and you had to call to work out an airline ticket, and we were thinking about your daughter and what she would do, and that would never be the option.
Right, right, exactly, exactly. Now, when you tell me about wiring money, Max, I'm like, isn't there any other option besides that? You know, but I get it in terms of the large
Yeah.
transactions there. Um, but yeah, I mean, people don't want to contact customer service these days. It feels good to take care of things yourself, to be autonomous. Um, and then thinking about all of the various different channels and preferences. I love how you put it, Max, in terms of, you don't want to be that boomer that has to pick up the
Right.
phone
Right.
and call customer
Yes.
service. So
Well, so maybe it would be good. You did a decent amount, but maybe just like here's all the buckets that go into customer experience. Maybe talk about that a little bit, just the broader brush of it.
yeah, yeah. When you think about customer experience and you think of that entire customer life cycle, start thinking of marketing and trying to acquire that customer. So that experience starts before they're really a customer. And whatever those marketing campaigns are, how do you make that potential prospect feel? And then you've got the actual sale itself. And that customer may be purchasing from a person, maybe purchasing online, maybe purchasing within a store. But what is that experience like? Where could there be friction points in even that area that could result in contacts to customer service? Then the acquisition of the product itself, if it wasn't done within a retail location where you're acquiring the product, what does that feel like? What does that look like? That's part of the experience as well. And thinking about all the various different ways that you can either enhance that experience or areas of friction that detract from that
Hmm.
experience. late shipments. For example, we talked last week about the missing ceiling fan and the late shipment there, and how that detracted from my overall experience with that retailer all the way through. I mean, every transaction that that customer is making with your business, they are thinking about their experience, how they feel about you as a brand. And
Hmm.
that oftentimes is more important these days than price or product alone. So it is a huge topic. And anytime you can utilize your contact center and that organization to identify areas of friction, to identify areas that are detracting from that customer experience, feed those to the departments that can improve and enhance that experience overall, you're going to build additional stickiness with your customers.
I talk to so many companies who aren't even gathering that information, much less distribute it. You have a history of pulling this off, and I think it'd be great if you just talked a moment or two about how you did it and what you did, because I think there's a lot of people listening to this who are going to not know how to do that.
Yeah. So first and foremost, if you're not already, you need to disposition every contact that comes into your customer service organization and your contact center. You need to know the reasons that customers are contacting you. And then, depending on the technology that you leverage, there's a lot of great technology with interaction analytics that can be able to help
Mm-hmm.
you identify and bucketize the reasons for contacts. If you haven't learned about interaction analytics across and applied it to all of your channels, then that is something that we should probably talk about in another podcast, Max, is how to
Yes.
leverage that technology. But that is so important to be able to see what your contact drivers are. Listen to those calls. Actually, listen to the calls,
Mm.
look at your transcripts for emails, chats, social media, and really understand what that customer sentiment is. Put yourself into your customer's shoes. The true meaning of empathy, right? Which is so important
Right. Right.
this year
Yes.
more than ever, and understand what that journey was like and why they're as frustrated as they are or why they're as delighted as they are, and keep those moments of delight and enhance those moments of delight and remove those moments of frustration, utilizing those tools of disposition codes, listening to those contacts, surveys, and interaction analytics to get that holistic view of the customer experience.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. I feel like I now could actually tell somebody the difference between the customer experience and the contact center. How about you?
Yeah, definitely. I think our work here is done for the day.
All right. Well, Joanna Palmer, always a pleasure. And
Well,
we'll,
thank you, Max Ball. Have a great one, and we will talk again soon.
all right. That sounds great. Thanks.
Thanks.